So now moving on to the feudal system of the state. Here when we talk about the state stands for Hyderabad representation here. So don't get confused, it's Hyderabad. So what do we have in the Hyderabad? Earlier, the present rulers of Hyderabad used to work as the provincial governors during the Mughal rule. The Mughals used to have provincial governors at various corners of the nation in order to control them. These governors used to act on behalf of the Mughal kings, and they used to make the work to be done whatever the king passes the laws. In this way, these people got into the existence, into the administrative community by becoming the provincial governors during the Mughal rule. As the time passed on, these people turned as Jagirdars. So as we all know, the Jagirdars are the people who used to control a large lands and used to collect the tax from them and in turn pay back it to the king or whoever is controlling the region. So these people became the hereditary Jagirdars for a certain period of time. Earlier they were governors, provincial governors, then they advanced themselves into Jagirdars, where they have the same responsibilities as the provincial governors, but here they were given extra, like some more villages were added for them in order to collect the taxes. After these people turned into the Jagirdars later in the period of time, and these people started to become hold, like increasing their hold in the entire nation or in the entire particular bit what they have been entrusted the duties. Now these people started to turn themselves as they are Doras. Doras are the people who used to control more than 100 to 200 villages in their name, and these people, after they turned themselves into Doras, they started to disobey the farmans or the royal orders whichever were sent to them. These Nizam rulers used to believe in the old system of kingship, and they were completely against any kind of democratic principles or the ideology of democracy. And they had a special police and spies who were constantly watching the public, and whoever is talking about democracy or whoever is educating any kind of people towards a democracy, they used to seriously object them and used to give severe punishments for those kind of people. These kind of things made the Nizams to be the autocratic rulers of that point of time. As the time passed on, they have had their journey from the governors, then to the Jagirdars, then they moved on to be the tax collectors, then they moved on to be the Doras, then they moved on to be the other influential people. Now finally British government recognized them as the rulers of that region and allots them certain kind of duties by collecting tax and paying it in the same curriculum, but they were not bound to follow the British laws and rules. They are entitled to collect taxes and pay a certain amount of tax which is fixed. So in this way the Nizam rule was having a feudal setup. We have a central authority controlling them, at the same time we have state authority which has its own say. Let us see what happened next. What are the languages that are spoken there? What language was encouraged by the rulers? What languages are objected? How is the education policy during that period of time? Now moving on to the language and the religious policy. First of all, let us discuss about the language. What was the official language during that period of time? Before focusing on the official language, let us see here the language of Muslims. So the rulers of Islam, or like they follow the religion of Islam, and here we have the Nizam rulers completely dedicating themselves towards the religion of Islam, and they have the Deccan Urdu as their language. They have that slang of Deccan also. They don't speak the pure Urdu language, but they have that slang mixing of Hindi words with Urdu words. And moving on to the other things, what is the other languages that are spoken during this period of time were Telugu, Kannada and Marathi. So the Urdu language was made as an official language, and 90% of all the officials who are in the high profile posts in the administration belong to the religion of Islam or who follow the Islam, popularly known as Muslim people. And we also have the medium of instruction from the KG, that's from school to the university, is should be in the Urdu medium itself. And the Nizam rulers are so suspicious that they never ever encouraged any other medium schools to be pushing up, and they never allowed any of the Jagirdars also to set up any kind of Telugu medium schools. Even if you have any Telugu medium schools at various far off places, they were denied the seats in the Nizam colleges and in the Nizam universities, that is the Usmania University. So now we have a serious threat to the other languages, and also that other languages are not considered as official. Only and only the Urdu language is considered as the official language, and almost all the works are propagated in the official language Urdu itself. And moving on to the educational aspects, these people also were afraid that if they allow the other mediums to step in education, automatically these people would propagate the anti-Nizam propagation or the propaganda. So this also was one of the reason which did not allow the Nizams to allow them to set up the other institutions or the other medium institutions. Now moving on to the educational development of the state during the Nizam's rule was very completely dissatisfied, because when we take it to the other like Travancore princely states or the Baroda princely states, it was very high when compared to ours. Let us see the statistics here. In 1941, when the statistics were taken, 9.3% of people are educated in our Nizam's rule state of Hyderabad. When it moves on to Travancore, it is 47.7. It shows a clear difference. More than 4 times we have the development of education in the Travancore region or the princely states of Travancore. And moving on to the Baroda, we have nearly 23%. Even this is more than double. So now moving on to Mysore, it is nearly 12%. So every state has some major significance and better standard of education and educational aspects when compared to the Nizam's rule. It is only because they don't want the people to get educated. Once the people start to get educated, they learn to read the newspapers. Once they start to read the newspapers, which may lead to form an opinion on the anti-Nizam's rule, which may further lead to any kind of revolts. So they don't want any such kind of developments developing in the Hyderabad state. These are the major steps taken to block the development of Hyderabad in the educational aspect. Then how did Telugu come into focus in the Hyderabad region? What made the people to focus their shift of attention from the other languages to Telugu? Let us focus on the situations which raise this kind of issues.